Oh, good timing. Playing Han Shut. Actually, I don't think I'm ready to play chess right now. Let me put on my watch. Ooh, okay, this is a fun line. Knight takes e4. And then knight c6.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
Almost born.
Hey, welcome back. Lux Juice. Okay. Welcome to those just joining. I'm going to focus on this game first, and then after the game I can interact with chat. There's bishop f5 or knight f5. There's also e5. Oh no, my rating. I'm 2600 exactly. Okay, let's try not to fall below 2600 this tournament. F6. Not the prettiest of moves. But if I move the queen, there's knight d5 coming. Yeah, I think the queen just wants to go to e7, connect the rooks.
Oh yes, my morning.
Oh yes. b6. And bishop g6 is a threat. Oh no, my position. Like I'm already in trouble. Oh no. Maybe it's not so bad, actually. I might lose a pawn. Oh no, I'm losing more than a pawn. Okay. White mistakes and then takes, but that could have been much worse. Yeah, I'm only down a pawn. I'll have the bishop pair. Bishop f5 maybe. Yeah, it still feels like I'm waking up. Been brewing some English breakfast
25 months.
Okay, I have bishop h6. Happy 25. Peace Links, welcome back. My mind is kind of scattered right now. I mean, I woke up not too long ago. Just have to try and focus, get through this game, move by move. I'm liking the position. Like, I could have just been losing a few moves ago. I'll show the line after the game. Yeah, so now, actually the bishops work really well together. Because the rooks can't access these squares. And these are two open files. So I can just control the files.
I've been busy with work, so I've been only on YouTube.
Ooh.
Good to finally catch a Twitch.
Hey,
also
welcome.
quack.
Do I want to trade bishops? Probably not. Welcome back to RMT. And bishop here. Still controlling d1. Up on time now. Knight e4.
If the multiverse theory is true, is there a reality where I'm not so pathologically dirty and we are best friends?
Maybe. Probably. Likely? What's the multiverse theory? How did I do this? King g7 probably. Over defending the pawn. So I can mobilize a rook. Don't know if this works. I'm gonna lose this pawn. Doesn't work. Wait, what did I do? Why are both rooks hanging? I mean, I deserve to lose this probably. I'm still fighting though.
At Clark 96, very true. Hopefully I'm dirty in every universe.
Hopefully. Hopefully I can survive this. I'm not proud of what I've done. No, don't hurt me.
Oh no, my stalemate.
No, my stalemate. White's really struggling though. Oh, my king. Ah, what to do? I mean,
22 and still counting. 2 months and I have been here for 2 years.
this is a really bad move. I wanted to play this and then I saw this, so I thought, why not play this?
Oh yes, my
The rook was
t-shirt.
hanging, but white didn't take it. And then, yeah, maybe. Can I play bishop c4 here? But this rook is hanging. Yeah, I'm not sure if bishop c4 here, there's takes. Takes. I mean, this is a better version of what happened in the game. Okay. Let me turn on my heart rate monitor, and I'll try and move past whatever just happened there. Also, welcome to everyone. Sorry I can't really talk to too many people because another game is starting. Oh no, my rating.
Wordle challenge.
Maybe after round 4? After round 4, there is usually an extended break. So, if there's time, and if I'm not like too tilted and don't rage quit the stream before then. Okay, let's play one of these. This is actually a fun line. It's actually a very venomous line if Lac doesn't know what they're doing. Also, thank you, Mojo Boomin. Oh, you sent the shirt to the wrong address. Okay, I'll tell you what to do. You go to the merch site. This is still prep, so I can take some time to help this poor person troubleshoot. You go to contact. Contact? I think it's contact. Wait a minute. Yeah, and then you have to email this. I mean, there's 2 contact numbers, and it's handled by a third-party company, but they should be able to help you. What's the line here? I think it's knight f3. Knight f3, e6, and then bishop c3. Oh, or you can just cancel it, and yeah, that that works too. Bishop c3 probably. Also taken bishop b4. Bishop c3. Wait, what am I doing? I assumed I could take the bishop, but I get mated. So I have this move? That's interesting, actually. I mean, I'm down a pawn. At least I didn't hang mate. I'm threatening to take and then play this move. If castling, I win e7. e6, I still take. It's actually working out. Oh, it's hard to show my muscles in a hoodie. Maybe later today I can change into the tank top. Okay, so there's definitely positional compensation here. There's extra pawn for black. Basically the double isolated d pawns.
Oh yes, my t-shirt
Hey,
to the correct
yes.
address.
Okay. Good job, Mojo. Yeah, my pawns belong on dark squares. I mean, I am allowing like f5 and knight e4, but I don't think it's too harmful. My knight wants to enjoy life.
Any chance you'll do some Olympiad commentary?
Oh, maybe in future days. Not today, though. I think the round is almost over already. But if I wake up early enough on future days, Or maybe some Olympiad postmortem. Okay, I just want to like be controlled this game. I keep the time advantage. 94 is going to come though. Or not. It's just G3. Oh, maybe bishop B3. I can maneuver and hit the pawn. Oh, it's almost winning material.
Early worm gets the worm, Michael Auger.
Worms. Wait, there is a fork. Okay, this is a wake-up call. I actually want to trade though. Probably not. How to do this? H4. Hmm. There you go. I might have to mate with Bishop Knight this game. How to do this? Oh, or I went on time this game. Okay. Oh dear. In terms of quality, these first two games have been questionable. Uh, in terms of heart rates, I'm waking up. In terms of tea, cup is pretty full. This is English breakfast tea with oat milk. A little bit of sugar. Okay. Uh I'm actually curious what I should have done in the opening after knight f6. Because there's a cool idea. I played once in OTB tournament, collegiate Pan Ams. I had a game where my opponent played e6, and then bishop c3 is a nice in-between move, which trades bishops. So I tried to play the same move here, but it's probably not called for. I just allowed 94, so b4. Wow. Ah, I can just start harassing the queen. b4 queen here, 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 here. Okay. A lesson learned. So this is like one of the engine lines. Now if I can chase the queen here, b5 work? Queen c5, I don't fully understand. Why can't I just take? Ah, the rook is hanging. So bishop e3 first. Or even stronger, bishop e5. Wow. Okay. Keep moving forward. Thank you to Shrenik for the 10 months. Also, welcome everyone. Thank you to those who I didn't acknowledge. Yeah, welcome back, Dirty Halvard. What I wanted to do, I was trying to do this last night, was download all of the Olympiad games from the recent round, and then check to see what the craziest openings were, if there were any Stafford Gambits. So maybe after Title Tuesday, I can do that, as the round should be over by then, and hopefully the games will be downloadable. Okay, and try and stay focused in the opening here. No! Ah, that was a mouse slip. I mean, it's just it's kind of like a free pawn. I don't think it's so bad though, because I can still force a trade of bishops. But I mean, pawn takes c5 was just a better move there. Okay, let's take and play this. So black got kind of the stable Benoni structure. Yeah, the mouse slip gambit. I didn't really gambit anything. I just missed out on accepting black's gambit. So maybe it was a mouse slip gambit declined. Now it's a question how I develop the king side. G4 first. Probably G4 first. So after takes, the bishop can't come in. There's some idea knight f4 and then g5. Knight f4 first takes away the h5 square from the knight. The other idea, very simply, is to push the h-pawn. Yeah, so even though my king side's a bit underdeveloped, black's whole queen side is underdeveloped. And this pawn gives me more space. Like, it takes away key squares from the minor pieces. If I play g5 here, g5 98, start with knight f4. I think I'll start with knight f4, threatening to take. If I took first, there was knight takes. And if takes here, I'm thinking h5 actually. Just bust open everything. And black doesn't have too many like defensive resources. I guess there's rook h8, h6. I really want to play knight e6. I should probably start with h6. Knight e6. Don't think it works. And there's this move. Hangs d5. Knight h5? Maybe knight h5. I was reluctant to trade a pair of knights because then the other knight comes in, but I guess g5 is weak. Okay, so if I take g5, there's knight takes. F4 is a move. I should start by taking.
Hello, how are you? I am fine, and you?
I'm doing fine. And you? It's not so simple. The knight is really solid on e5. Rook f1. There's knight c4. This could get bad really quickly. But how bad? To play c3. I can't even play queen g4. Oh no, wait, maybe it's okay. Did not mean to pre-move that. No! It's not okay. Oh.
Loving the streams. Enjoy your day and enjoy some tea, coffee.
That wasn't so enjoyable. Yeah, that counterattacked really quickly. Bishop h3 was probably... It's actually already like really bad for white. So what went wrong? Did I just misjudge? Yeah, engine doesn't like knight f4. I mean, practically it looked promising. I was considering 96 here. Takes. I spent some time like calculating, but it wasn't clear cut, and engine doesn't find anything convincing. Okay, it's break time. Or is it? No, that was round 3. Oh no, my chance of catching Hikaru. Yeah, I mean, I've had this position a good number of times before. This is like, engine calls this winning for white. d5. Yeah, d5 like doesn't give white much of an advantage objectively. Hey, it's MVP at life.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah, welcome back to more people too. Welcome back to Palm Ghost. Good to see the mod squad. G Spades, G Cook. What domains do I have as of today? I assume you're asking about website domains. I probably wouldn't be able to list them all off. But yeah, ohnomyqueen.com, staffordgambit.com, iamrosen.com, gmrosen.com. I think those are the ones that like if you go to, they'll redirect you to somewhere fun.
Iced tea.
Oh, that reminds me. I have what used to be ice water, but now it's just normal water because the ice melted. Oh, rosenscore.com. Yeah, ha ha ha. If you go to rosenscore.com, it'll redirect to Trevlar's amazing Rosenscore website. Okay, try and rebound. I'm reaching the point, like, if I have a chance to play a Stafford, I think I'll do it. It's one way to try and untilt. Also get some content. So yesterday I had this fun match against Faruja, and I tried playing Stafford against him, but he didn't go into this position. One time he declined it, and then one time we had some like weird move order thing. Okay, so going into the magical line. This is not the magical line, but this is a line. Bishop e3, I think objectively it gives white like a slight advantage, but it leads to easy play for black, and there's multiple pawn targets, like especially after queen d6. I'm also thinking like after this tournament, if my rating's still below 2600, maybe I can do some rating recovery, hop in the blitz pool, brainstorm some post-tournament ideas. Pretty sure bishop e6. Or is it takes first? Might be takes first. Wait, no, takes first doesn't work. And queen b4, there's c3. I'm confusing lines. If knight c3, then I take. And then there's a line where I get 2 rooks for the queen. If knight here, I can't quite take because after takes, there's knight f1. So after knight d2, I probably just queenside castle and then later build up on the h file. My plan is to play the second Title Tuesday today. So it could potentially be a lot of chess. Yeah, white's going to have an option to allow the 2 rooks for the queen or to give back the queen. To rook h1, there is queen f1. I think both lines are like close to equal, but white's spending a lot of time. Okay. King e7 makes sense. Actually debating, does it make sense to trade rooks? There's a funny line. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to put the rook on h3. This is really just an attempt to slow white down. If knight e2, I'll play g5. So I don't think it's good for white to take. It creates this weird situation where, yeah, white's like maybe deciding. Now the issue with this is my rook is kind of stuck. And knight g1 might be coming, and then I'll have to take. Probably c5 here. I wonder c5 and then like f5. Or c5, c4. I should start with c5. Wonder if I can do this. Threatening this. These pawns are juicy. but the only way to eat them is from behind. And these pieces are kind of just sitting on the sidelines. Wow. Can I trap the knight? It's close to working, but not quite. Unless bishop d3. Bishop d3 is a funny move. I'm going to play it. I temporarily give back the pawn, but the king will walk in. Yeah, king walks in regardless. I'm pretty sure I can take and then king e4. And then just push the pawn. So that turned into like a really nice strategic endgame. Some nice positional concepts there. Which you don't always get from a Stafford. Like usually when I play the Stafford, I'm trying to win in the first 15 moves. But yeah, we went into a line where I won back the pawn. And yeah, I can't take right away because after takes, there's king f2. I've had this like king d2 or king f2 I've had a few times. And this is also a cool position. But what we had in the game... yeah, it was nice to plant the rook here. And then... yeah, amazingly, I don't think white can like defend the pawns. Because bishop b1 is just such a strong threat. And the knight... and the only square for the knight is e2. But then even d4 is covered. Okay, so now it's officially a break. Usually it's a 6-minute break after the round finishes. I'm 2 out of 4. Could be better, could be worse. Welcome to Bobby Tables. Says, I'm 1900 on Lee Chess Blitz and want to become expert at endgames since I keep losing them. How should I study endgames to become an endgame god? Oh. Yeah, endgames, they're a bit different compared to other areas of the game. And they're also, like, endgames can be a very broad category of chess. I mean, of course, similar to middle game. And when we talk about endgames in chess, there's, I think, two main types of endgames. There's the theoretical endgames, which are basically positions that are solved, that have so few pieces on the board. You should know like the best move for both sides, regardless. So that's like a simple theoretical endgame is like king and queen versus king, or king pawn versus king rook or something, where yeah, strong players will have essentially an arsenal of theoretical endgames that they already like know by heart. So if you want to work on theoretical endgames, the first book that comes to mind, I was reading this last night, is 100 Endgames You Must Know by Jesus de la Villa. I guess if you want to become a god, then you should learn from Jesus. Then the other type of endgame is strategic endgames, where it's kind of like the game I just had, that the position is simplified. It was towards the end of the game, but there is still a lot of strategy. And yeah, strategic endgames, there can be like unique principles to them between activating the king, trying to create passed pawns, really going after opponents' weaknesses, as we saw with my bishop b1 move. And for that, I think there's a book, Harsbo Hansen? Endgame. Let me see if I can Google it. I had this book growing up, Secrets of Endgame Chess Strategy. It can be heavy material. Like this should be a warning that books on endgames, they take a lot of work to go through. It's not enough just to buy the book and then it turns you into an endgame god. Like it takes a lot of work to actually go through a book like this. And it can help to have perhaps someone around your level that you can work through the book together with, kind of like as a study partner, training partner. Can also help to like play out positions over the board or online. You can also get a coach, and most people who coach chess will have kind of their own system in teaching endgames. And that was a big focus of like my early childhood chess lessons was just basic endgame concepts and like famous positions. Like my coach would train me on Philidor position, Lucina position, king pawn versus king, a lot of king pawn endings. So I hope that gives some insight. There's also, I guess there's one more book. I do have a books command too on my website. Yeah, these are the two I probably recommend most often. A Silman's Complete Endgame course, which structures endgames based on like rating level. Of course, there's also online. I link a few, of course, like chess.com premium membership. Also, Limitless Chess has some like endgame courses. What are the others? I should add a few more here. There's chessmood.com, which I recently discovered, which has some great video content. Oh, we still have the Kasparov chess command too, which has content. And a lot of these sites you can either do like a free trial or like a very basic membership to just see what they offer. I just want to close. I know I have a lot of games open, but the only way to like close things is, I think. Oh wait, there's one game still going. No, this is over. 123 moves. So I think we're on break now. Chat. 6 minute break. Okay. Yeah, during break, I guess I can keep trying to address questions or just chill and see what people are saying. Oh, thank you, not another melon. Subbing for the first time with Prime. Oh yeah, this is a friendly reminder. If you have Prime, you can sub for free. It does require a little bit of effort every month to click a button or two, but it does really help support the channel, so I appreciate those that do. Oh, I could do Chessel or Wordle or Meditate. I don't know how far we are into the break. Thank you. Thank you, L Hobbs L. Or are those eyes? We'll never know. Sir, will you say a good opening? I have a FIDE tournament on Friday to Monday. There's a lot of good openings. Yeah, I mean, for a tournament, I'll say don't play the Stafford unless like you're really booked up. But it really depends on the player. And part of choosing openings is knowing yourself and knowing your style and kind of understanding your comfort zone. Like if you don't know too much theory, there are openings you can play without really needing to know too much. Like there's a system-based openings like London, Kali. You could probably get by playing like a Catalan without knowing too much, or Stonewall, or King's Indian Attack. As black, it's a bit trickier because then you have to react more to what your opponent is doing and how they're attacking you. Um, Usually against d4, I like to play Queen's Gambit Declined. Oh, there's King's Indian, there's Hippo, there's Modern. Against e4, there's a Scandi is pretty simple to take up. Okay, playing Rob Ram. Maybe I should mix up the openings a little bit, but I want to play one more London. And this time, hopefully not Mouselip. Thoughts on Fabi's London game? Yeah, Fabi played the London, I guess, a couple of days ago and lost to, was it Abdu Sattarov? But he played a line which I looked at recently, but it seemed like he wasn't familiar with like a pretty early move that Abdu Sattarov played. This Bishop D3 move. Ah, the tricky line. Let's play this. I'm gonna try and go into what I usually go into. There's a chance this will backfire, but hopefully it'll be interesting. Faruja was actually playing a very similar setup against me yesterday. It was like Queen A5 and then eventually E5. And he was completely outplaying me. Wondering if I can play E5 here. Probably not. I don't think I want to play Bishop H6. I think I'll just castle. I had a very similar position against Faruja yesterday. This is bringing back some bad memories. Rook D1. I want to use the D file before black can fully develop. Might be difficult though. Thank you, Sensual Heptathlon. Knight B6 is coming. Maybe I'll just put the bishop on B3. Queen on D6. There's also knight G5 actually. Play knight G5. If we trade off most of the minors, and black's left with a not so great bishop. Take. Yeah, I gotta up the pace a little bit. Queen C4 could threaten knight D5. So like rook d8, knight d5, queen b8. Yeah, it looks like I'm getting the d file. Rook takes d3, queen d3. a4. Uh, can't quite play queen d3. It still looks pleasant. a5. And b4 is potentially weak. Wow. That was a good move. Queen c5. Yeah, there's a line where I lose a pawn, but black will have double a pawns. So I'm looking at takes, 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 bishop d8, a6 takes, and then it's a race to the queen side. I was more scared of rook c4 there. This is interesting. This is another like strategic endgame position. I'm probably like objectively slightly worse or much worse, but it feels like a 3-result game. I have to be really careful with how I deal. I don't want the knight to get trapped, but also have to defend the pawn. Yeah, annoying position. King g4 first. Annoying but interesting.
Good luck Entitled Tuesday.
Oh, thanks so much. I might need it in this position.
What is the greatest regret of your life?
I don't have time to think about that right now. Okay, so the knight can mobilize. Uh, no! Oh, it's so sad. Knight b2 would have kept me alive, too. The knight comes to d3. Ah, so much regret. Losing on time is a pretty big regret there. Oh. I was beginning to feel optimistic, too. If knight comes to d3, okay, it's not. It's very hard to win as white, but it's also very hard for black to win. And it's very easy for black to get forked. Like king e5, there's a fork. What to do? Yeah, I would have gotten the setup. Like if we imagine, let's say this,
Chin up,
then
the
all the
next
things
guy will
are
be easier.
controlled. Yeah, the next guy will maybe have to encounter another Stafford. Oh, what to do? How high should I raise my chin? Or are you telling me to do a chin up? Doesn't that require a pull up bar? Or a chin up bar? Wait, what's a chin up?
What's the difference between pull-ups and chin-ups? In a nutshell, pull-ups use the overhand grip, which is when your palms are facing away from you. Chin-ups use the underhand grip, which is when your palms are facing towards you.
Now I know. I should get up like a bar. Oh, I'm playing my doppelganger. E. Rosenberg. Imposter Rosen. Imposter E. Rosen. Okay, no Stafford. We have a bishop's opening. I think we played at some point before. Play bishop c5. Let's play d6. At some point, I'll take the bishop. h6 looks reasonable. There could be a weird standstill. Like if I was thinking bishop e3. I'm allowing bishop a4 check.
You should never regret anything in life. If it's great, it's wonderful. If it's shite, it is experience.
Experience. Thanks for the wisdom. I think now I take. The problem is white wants to take and take. So I think I should take here. And this is resembling some Scotch setup. Considering bishop d7. Doesn't quite work though. And there's c5. Can I afford to play a6? Maybe I can. Maybe not. I'll play c5. Generally, this is not a move Fox should be playing because it's very weakening to d6. But white had the double threat of this and this. That's still unpleasant. I'm not feeling it today. I get away with?
Do you think that Saga Guptan on board 7 in 2012 was a mistake by the coach or the captain?
Bishop g4. Bishop g4. Oh, there's knight e8. Now let's play bishop g4. In 2012, we won state. I assume you're referring to high school state. Right? 2012? I have 38 seconds. And I'm losing a pawn. But maybe it's not so bad. Now there's counterplay against e4. Rook should be on e6. I'll start with this. And queen d3, I have queen f6, hitting b2, and then eventually rook e6. Okay, I have one goal this game. Not to flag. Also, and not to lose. 2 goals. Kind of the same goal. Oh no. Don't hurt me. And E. Rosenberg is tough. His last name is stronger. Okay, let's try and survive here. Am I winning f2? Is this a miracle? Uh-oh. Oh no. What did I do? No! Gotta pray. Wow, it's a draw. Okay. uh, so this is an example of a theoretical endgame. That white was winning for a moment there. It was actually kind of tricky though. I think white only has one winning move in this position. Oh, E. Rosenberg in the chat. Yeah, once the pawn gets to c2, it's a draw because of the, and this is a known stalemating idea. I think the only move is queen e5, pinning the pawn. And then once the pawn is on the third rank, then I can't get the pawn to c2. And then, I mean, what to do? If I walk in front of the pawn, the king walks in. If I walk this way, white can essentially force me in front of the pawn. Oh, I'm playing a Tusa. I haven't seen a Tusa in a while. Remember a Tusa playing like these tournaments, maybe the like Philly or World Open. I remember like sitting next to her because we were a similar rating back in the day. I did give an endgame lecture about like which pawns make it a draw, which pawns make it a win. One of my first lectures for St. Louis Chess Club. It was called Endgames You Must Know. And I did cover like most of the king pawn versus king queen endings in that lecture. Okay, so I'm setting up the famous trap. A famous trap achieved. Yeah, so if black didn't take and played bishop d6 right away, bishop a6 is still working. And this is a nice one. This is one reason why I like the London traps like this, because black just played natural moves, but things are about to crumble. The b7 is undefended. If takes, I win the knight. Otherwise, I'm ready to take. Like if takes here, I can take here first. And all the variations, white's winning at least a pawn. Or maybe more. Maybe now I take the knight. I could also take the rook. But taking the knight now, the rook's still hanging. Yeah, I do cover this in my London course. Exclamation point London. I also cover this in like multiple collabs with Andrea Botez, like going over various London traps. There's a question. I assume the question was if rook b8 was possible, which I can address in a moment. I'll play rook c1. Rook c1. Bishop's a little bit awkward here. Maybe like queen a3. Queen a3, queen b6, bishop a4. Yeah, just to show, if rook b8, I would just take the pawn. And then the knight would hang. Yeah, rook a6, queen b4. Probably makes sense to control the file. Although then knight c3, I want to exercise some good technique. Bishop b5. Maybe bishop c2. Bishop c2, rook b8 traps my queen. Oh, man. I have to be a little bit careful. Rook b1. Takes. What might end up happening? Black will win a pawn. But it's still just one pawn for the piece. And I'll... Oh, that's a pawn too. I didn't see that was hanging. I almost have some cool queen f8, but not quite. Rook b2. How to do this? At this point, I think it's just a matter of simplifying, not getting too low on time. I wonder if I can... Taking verse, I don't think works. Looking at takes, but then takes. I assume this is okay. Oh, there's a funny line. So queen e2, I sack my queen, rook f7, rook b8 mates. I'm threatening mate in 3. It's easy to miss too. Okay. Oh no, my queen. I've gone through so much this tournament, but I guess that's a little bit of therapy. London trap and a nice queen sack for mate. And yeah, to address like the question earlier, someone was asking, can black just defend the pawn? And the problem is, yeah, the pawn holds the position together. So I would just take and then take here. And yeah, a lot of things are hanging. So that's why in this position, bishop d6 is a blunder. I think the best move is, it's a few best moves, like knight d7 or a6, preferable for black. Yeah, there's a point, like, after queen f4, I was beginning to look for the same ideas.
In case anybody was wondering, the Q versus pawn on 7th rank is a draw if it's a bishop pawn or rook pawn.
Correct. Assuming the opponent king is far away. Because there are cases where if the king is close enough, it's not a draw. But yeah, the lecture is somewhere on YouTube. I'm pretty sure there's been a lot of YouTube videos like covering these ideas. Also covered in the Jesus de la Vila book and Games You Must Know. Can we see that mate again? Of course. Slow motion replay, because I did pre-move, but it's kind of a nice like puzzle rush type thing. I guess rook b8 also... I played rook f7, then rook b8 is guaranteed. So this would be the final mate. If I want to be really fancy, I could play rook b8 first. It's not as efficient, but it's mate after this, and then got this nice hook mate. Yeah, there's no prediction today, at least for this Title Tuesday. I don't want to let people down. Maybe for the later one. As a superhero, is it possible? Wait, what? Well, not for me. Heart rate is currently 73. Wait, is it another break? No, that was round 7. Next round starting soon. One game going. Oh, not stalemate. Are you a philosopher? Aren't we all philosophers? Nice. Okay. So I'm 3.5 out of 7. 50%. Try and get back in a rhythm. I mean, I'll go for another Stafford because why not? It worked earlier. Yeah, I had this position against Perugia yesterday, and he played the exact same thing. And then he proceeded to like checkmate me in less than 20 moves. Bishop e2. So d3, I'll play d5. I think there's some argument for compensation. I don't think I've ever encountered bishop e2 before. Most people play d4. Ooh. So it looked like white was being like solid, a little bit passive, but now white's being super active. I'm so tempted to sack. Considering knight g4 first. I know I'm taking a long time. Hmm. I'm not seeing it. I want to play d4, take f2, take, queen h4. This is g3 move. Any way to make this work? g3, bishop d4, king g2. I think I have to go for it. But it's just bad. I mean, I could take there first. Okay, let's try it. Take. Yeah, this is probably the best try. At least get a few pawns for the piece. So I'm temporarily sacking 2 pieces, but I'll win 1 piece back. I'm not proud of my time management. But I might... Oh, I was down a pawn, so I'll get 2
Do you
pawns for the
think that
piece.
cloning humans is ethical?
It might depend. I don't have time for philosophy right now. Okay, at least I have some pawns. Pawns are the soul, right? D5 incoming. Bishop F5. The biggest concern for the moment is time. Position is also kind of questionable. Take here first. Preventing rook e7. I mean, this structure attempted undermining. It's a good move, though. Yeah, pawns are a bit softer now. I'm threatening to trap the knight. It's actually kind of crazy. Knight is trapped. With all these squares. It's like a sad octopus. Its tentacles aren't useless. Or aren't useful. Are kind of useless. I could pre-move this. It's still tricky. C4, king c5. Just b4. But again, c4, king e5. Rook h4, rook g7. Mounting a comeback. I don't know what to do. Just have to make moves. Okay, now I know what to do. Or do I? Setting up for the next position. Or the starting position. What am I doing? There we go.
Do you
No time for questions. I'm about to lose on time. Or win on time. Rooks in jail. Let's go! Okay, now I have time for questions. Actually, it's time to kind of cool down. What a game. I mean, that opening was really bad for me. Mainly because I was confused. I was trying to pull off like a fried liver. Except usually in the fried liver, you sack one piece. I sacked 2 pieces. I did win a piece back. Got a couple pawns for it. And the miracle happened a bit later. I was so low on time. But the miracle of the sad octopus. I think you perfectly confused. Yeah, when you're up like so much time, it's easier to blunder, and it's so easy to just get complacent and assume you can play any move. Like this has happened to me before too. So now we have a break. I'm 4.5 out of something. 4.5 out of 8. Oh, that's a plus score. That's a +1 score. So really can't complain. It is break time. Something about animals. Yeah, I'm not going to answer such questions that might take time to answer. I'll check it out after
What do you
the
think
stream.
the voting
Oh,
age
Keith.
should be?
In human years or dog years? Need more context. Dogs or cats? I like all types of animals. Except those like deadly spider things. I'll share a picture of. Here's a picture I took of my family's dog. This was a few days ago. This is Roxy. Oh, that's funny. Look at this. Look at this message. Is this a dog stream or a human stream? Uh, now it's a dog stream. Yeah, this is iPhone portrait mode. I took another picture. This is not iPhone portrait mode. This is taken with like my expensive Sony camera. Maybe there's a somewhat noticeable difference in quality or depth of field. Oh yeah, her tongue is slightly black.
So cute.
Because I think we don't know exactly what she is, like in terms of breed, but there's definitely some chow in her. And chow, like usually chow dogs have black tongues. Oh, I haven't shown these pictures. Here's another dog. Wait, let me share. I hope the owner of this dog is okay with me sharing these pictures. I assume there's going to be a lot of people who recognize this dog. Met this dog a few weeks ago. Yeah, this dog has a ton of energy. Yeah, this is Benji. I don't think there's too many like creatures that have loved me more than Benji. So much energy. Thank you, Trine Daddy Mirror. I could just turn this into a photo sharing stream. Other photos to share. I could just share dog photos. This is how Roxy sleeps. A dumbbell can also be a dog pillow. Ah, this is a photo. This is a photo I took a few years ago. It was a blind dog that played fetch.
What is the best part of people recognizing you and also the worst part?
Oh, so far everyone's been friendly. Like everyone who recognizes me in public is I mean, I haven't had any negative encounters. Some people just get starstruck and they don't know what to say. And then I don't know what to say. So then I get fan struck. And then it's a little bit awkward. And then I'll offer to like take a selfie with them if they want.
13-month-old baby. Also, I am terrible at chess.
Oh no.
I'd probably lose to most 13-month-olds.
That's okay.
Quack.
Everyone starts out at the very bottom. Like every grandmaster was once a noob and also was once a 13-month-old. So you can only go up from there. It's all about enjoying the journey. Yeah, this was at sunset. I definitely did some Lightroom editing, like probably upped the magenta hue and made it a bit more HDR, up the shadows, down the highlights. Oh, Sissy Fuss took a picture with me in Vegas. Oh, I have Vegas pictures. Or do I? I can share some Vegas pictures. This was the Vegas simul. There were about 30 people that I had to try and take down. And it was a lot of walking. Big shout out to Brigham and Joe Brune. I think these pictures were taken by Brigham. And maybe some people in chat will recognize themselves in these pictures. Oh, okay. Oh, playing a GM. Wow, I'm playing up now. Do I continue with the Stafford? I mean, I'm 2 out of 2 with the Stafford today. It's an opening that's kind of brought me a good portion of my points. Opponent declines a Stafford. Okay. This already looks pleasant for black, like d4. I really can't complain with this. Like bishop e4 check is looming, queen e7. Okay, it's a position I shouldn't be spending too much time. But I also want to be precise. Provoke bishop d2. Okay, here's the plan. Provoke queen f3 and then play bishop b4. And then just castle. So I think bishop b4 here. I guess we just transpose. I have bishop g4. It just trades things. I have an idea. Castle and bishop here, and queen here forks the pawns. I spent a lot of time, but at least I came up with something. So it looks like I'm winning a pawn. I don't think bishop f3 really helps. And there's some counterplay for white. c6 probably. That queen should be on c7. Queen a3 first. Queen f4 expected. I could maybe just consider marching the a pawn. Now this. So I'm over defending b7, want to mobilize the bishop. You play b6. Thinking the queen might be better on f6 or g5. I don't think rook h6 is working here. I like bishop f5 to g6. Even queen a5 in that line. Wow. I mean, the plan is bishop g6, queen f6, queen g7, and just turn into a turtle. Turtle time? I think it's okay. I didn't even bother looking at taking on e4. I'm up a rook. Okay, now I have a easy plan, I think. I feel like a turtle and a rabbit. And now a polygamist. How do I use my queens? Turtle time. Why is this so difficult? Oh no. All 3 results possible. Oh no. No. I was up 2 queens. I was up 1 queen. But I had 2 queens. Oh. I turtled too hard. Did I miss something? I mean, I missed rook d8, of course. It was really tricky. Because the queens aren't great at sheltering the king. Oh. That's what I get for making dumb jokes and comparing my position to random animals. Man, it felt so good to go for this line too. I mean, there's probably no reason to even, like, I should just take. Unfortunate technique. Oh no, my 2 queens, yeah. Hello, YouTube. I'll probably put that on YouTube. If you made it this far in the YouTube video, try and make me feel better in the comments. I wanted to do a stalemate thing. I mean, it's already lost at this point. There's no way to stop Queen G7. And no stalemate tricks. Yeah, at some point... I should take the pawn, actually. Taking the pawn still... White's playing for a win at this point, but... Oh, Queen D3 was fine? How does this work? Queen D5? Ah, Queen D5. Creating this check. And then, yeah, then there's perpetual. What to do? I feel kind of sad now. It's okay. It was good content. I should really be able to convert these though. And there goes my perfect Stafford score. I'm curious if there is any better line like out of the opening. Instead of bishop c5. Okay, bishop c5, bishop e3. Did I find the top line? Yeah, it looks like I did what was called for. Okay. Oh, I wanted to... I was going to play e4 at some point. Okay, at least we'll have a more fresh opening. Going into a Jobava, whatever this is. Opponent seems prepared. No, bishop c7, threatening mate in 1. This is still prep. This is actually a really cool line. I began looking at not too long ago. So the idea is, yeah, bishop g4 f3, and then there's this idea. I don't remember rook c8 being a move, but maybe it is. And bishop a5. Like, there's ideas here to just trap the rook on the queen side. And then if the rook, like, leaves the back rank, there's mating ideas. This already looks pleasant for white. We might see bishop d7 to block the file. I might consider playing b3. b3, e6, bishop a6. Looks kind of funny. I mean, because I could chase a rook to b4. It's a funny line. Am I trapping the rook? Rook b4, a3. Rook h4. So if here I trap the rook, if here the only safe square is h4.
Hi Eric, do you like Boerti?
Oh, it's been a while since I've had that. But yeah, I'm pretty welcoming to all types of tea. Not trapping the rook. The rook's just gonna chill on h4. I could play g4. Threatening g5. Bishop g3. I think just 92. E pawn moves maybe b4. It's such a funny position. I'm not winning the pawn. Rook d3, bishop f5. Rook king f2. And king f2. E pawn moves, I'll play b4, preventing bishop c5. Wow. I'll admit I don't see how I actually deal with this line. Takes.
Here's to my favorite chess streamer of all time.
Oh,
Thank you for everything, Eric.
Appreciate that. I have bishop d6 and e5. Might have to go for this anyway. e5, rook d1. Uh-oh. Yeah, this was super risky. I have rook g4. I'm going to be down a pawn. Black's king is a little bit stuck. But f6, even f5, king f7. How godly can this pawn become? Like, I might take with pawn. It seems weird. But opens the f-file, keeps the king safe, and the pawn can bolt. Okay. I'm in time to move the king back. Probably h3. Oh, good move. Play this first. Threading this. Rook c4, just bishop a6. Oh. Oops. Not necessarily a bad move, though. This. Wow. Funny position. Uh-oh. Don't hurt me. No! No! That was a funny game. It's so hard to play on the 1 second increment. Oh, it's a sad finish. I mean, there's no reason to play king e2. Yeah, I can't force stalemate because there's no way for me to actually give up the bishop. Well played. I'm wondering if I had a dark squared bishop, that's preferable. So I would put the king here and the bishop here. Would that be a draw? Probably not. But maybe? Probably not. Okay, what to do? Ratings bleeding a little bit. I hope people are being somewhat entertained, though. I could just sack that is true. I could sack the rook for the pawn. It would be a draw. But there's some hope to like play for a win if I don't blunder the rook. But okay, it's hard to win the pawn. Did I miss a tactic earlier? This is a funny line. I know bishop g4 is a playable move. Oop. Okay, not too much time to analyze. Is this the final round? It's the last round. Okay, I'll try and finish with a 50% score. Let's play some normal opening. Queen's Gambit declined. I think this is the first time encountering d4 today. Like, all my opponents have played e4 as white. Yeah, I know this line is like 95 is supposed to be the best move, I think. But this is an idea to just neutralize things, trade off some minor pieces. Probably bishop e6. Yeah, it seems like there's some attacking potential. The queen, bishop, knight. Did I blunder? Oh no. Okay, I've allowed f4, f5. I'm not sure how bad it was because there's some lines where e3 would be a target. I just have to be a bit more careful. Queen h6. I think queen h6 is interesting. And this looks like a threat now. It takes, king g1, knight h4. Knight f4, queen. Okay, not happening. Play knight h4 first. Maybe get some rook lifting action. Yeah, white was going for minority attack, but the plan has kind of stalled. This is a decent move. Rook e4. Okay, so there's few attacking ideas. There's g5, g4, which looks interesting. There's also queen g5 threatening rook f4. I can also just bring another rook in. I mean, g5, g4 looks very direct. Also, I didn't even realize white was threatening to take, and then have back rank mate. Oh, actually no, because takes in rook e8. But regardless, g5 does make a luft. Okay, so knight f4 back. Looking for the sacks. There's knight f3. Take on h3. Mm. Okay, no time for questions. I gotta focus. Takes. I could sack at any moment. F5 first. D4 potentially hanging. I might end up sacking. Let's run to the C8 square. Okay, I'm going for it. For the content, maybe. It's kind of dubious, but maybe it could work. Oh no. I just hung B7. Okay, it's still interesting. No, it's not interesting. Ah. I mean, I went for it. Oh, what to do? I hope people appreciate the content. That was a rough tournament. Was it a justifiable sack, though? Yeah, I just have to not lose a pawn. It's actually, like, it's still interesting. I guess knight of 3 and we're still kind of at a standstill, if that makes sense. Okay, at least I'll have a goal for later today to come back in the second title Tuesday and score more than 4.5. Yeah, time management was not great today. I think it was maybe a combination of factors. Part of it is focus. Part opening? No, openings I think we're fine. I think staying focused on my opponent's time. Thank you, IARB. Yeah, thanks everyone for their support. I have not had food today. So it's probably time for food. Although I should do what I did yesterday though. Assuming, wait, how do I do it? There's a way to do this. So the Olympiad is done for the day. Today was round 5. Actually, the way to do this is to go to the official website. So I learned how to do this yesterday. So it's not so intuitive. So if you click PGN, nothing happens. But if you do this and then copy link address and then paste it into the URL, it should download. I can do the same with the women's games. Copy link address. Okay. Second Title Tuesday starts at 4 p.m. Central Time. So in just under 4 hours from now. Okay, so I have my 2 downloadable files. I'm gonna just hide my capture for a moment. And I have to extract the files because they're zip files. And then what I'll do is I'll open ChessBase. And we do have round 5. Maybe I can make a new folder. Olympiad. I'm making a new folder. Bear with me just a moment here. Do. Extract all. Can't be extracted. What? What did I do? It's an empty folder. Wait a minute. Okay, so I'm having troubles. Copy link address. Let me open this. So this is a folder I just downloaded. And I want to extract it. Cannot complete compressed. The compressed zip folder is already empty. I don't understand. Well, I can just look at the main Olympia games. Bear with me. Okay, so here's my Olympiad. Can we merge these? I guess what I could do is let's open round 5. I'll copy all the other games into this one. So 368 games every round. Yeah, it's a little bit tedious, but I'm creating one large PGN file. Of all the games. Okay, so 1,840 games in. This is just the like Olympiad open section, so excluding the women's event. And then what I like to do is merge them all to an opening tree. ChessBase calls this opening reference on selection. So now we have all 1,800 plus games here, and we have the opening tree. Sorry if the layout's not perfect, but hopefully people can see the main information. And what I'm mainly curious about is whether there's been any Stafford Gambits. So there's been 35 Petrovs. Out of those games, 21 featured knight takes e5. So moment of truth. Oh, no Stafford. Wait, Joe Bavo played d5? Wait, this is a... What do we call this? This is actually a gambit. I remember Fabiano talking about this on the World Championship broadcast. Like he was saying how Stafford is just trash, which he has some point about, at least in high level play. But then he mentioned this kind of as an offhand comment. Oh, thank you, Poco something something. um, sorry I can't pronounce your name, but thanks for the raid. Maybe you were also streaming Title Tuesday. If you're just joining, I'm exploring some of the interesting openings from Olympiad, and I just stumbled upon this Jobava game where let me just bring this into Lichess. Because I'm curious what Lichess will call this opening. So Jobava played. Oh, Lichess doesn't have a name for this. Is Jobava making up a new opening again? Are we gonna call this a Jobava Petrov? So there's been 24 games. Wow, Jobava's played this a ton. He's played this 5 times. Something muscle gambit. I mean, Jobava might just be in the process of getting a new opening named after him. So he beat Dominguez with this in 2016. Okay, he lost to MVL, Karyakin, Drew Bach. Oh, then there's this, and there's some long names here. Okay, so let's see how Jobava wins with this new Petrov gambit. So Black's down a pawn, but the queen's in the center. Black has some initiative. I'm sure this is all prep. Knight c6. Wow. White plays queen e2, which on the surface looks a little bit questionable, but MVL and Bach have both played this move. And then king d8. He avoids casting rights, because if he blocks with the bishop, white just trades queens and like simplifies and is up a pawn. So king d8 avoids the queen trade. It loses casting rights, but it also frees the e8 square for the rook. And white's in maybe a bit of a predicament. I like this move. So queen c4, queen e4. Some dancing with the queens. It seemed like white was content with a draw. But Jobava is not repeating. Queen g6. So queen basically teleported. So if we compare this position to this position, it's as if Black's queen just teleported, and it's still white's move. So bishop e3. Ooh. Okay, so here's where Jobava starts throwing punches. Bishop g4, the first punch. Knight e4, the second punch. Oh! So there's a queen trade. Takes, takes. This is hanging, this is hanging. Knight f3. Desperado. But creating a situation where after white takes, we take back. Hitting the rook, this bishop's still hanging. White has to save the rook, and after takes, Black won back the pawn, has a bishop pair, has a nice structure, and now has a half-open h-file. So I don't know exactly where white went wrong, but it's already like much, much better for Black, right? Okay, not winning, but clearly better for Black. And then Jobava starts doing Jobava things. Simplify. Ooh. Bishop got a little bit weird, but the rooks got active. b5, nice move. Yeah, this pawn is very tender. Knight is pinned. And, ooh, that was nice. So he just forced the king back to the second rank, took the pawn, and then cleanup time. Oh, it could end with this, and then checkmate. Nice game. What was the rating of his opponent? 2373. So decently, I mean, probably like FM or IM. Decently strong player. So what did white do wrong in this game? And how, like, what's the valuation of this position? Ah, against MVL and Bach, he blocked with the bishop. So against MVL, he allowed the queen trade. And maybe there's still compensation. Although maybe not. At least according to Stockfish. After king d8. Yeah, Engine's not so impressed. Prefers bishop e6. Queen b5 castling. Or queen b5. Okay, so this could open up a new rabbit hole to maybe dive into. Okay, let me try and get back to chat. Does this actually have a name? The Mick Khan Tall variation. I don't know whether you're serious or not. Maybe chess.com would name it something different. Wait, the new Veritasium video is about chess. Ooh. Oh, I'll unmute alerts. Yeah, alerts were muted from Title Tuesday. Adfoss asking a very important question. How many Albin counter gambits were there? There was an Albin counter gambit at the World Cup. And who was it? Muzichuk? Was it Muzichuk Garachikina? There was some like cool Albin at World Cup where or no, it was I forget her name. Tan Zhang Yi, I think, against Muzichuk. I'm pretty sure it was Maria. So I was photographing during that game. But they played like a weird line of the Albin. So let's see. Yeah, let's see. Any Albin? One Albin! White one, though.
Have you ever seen the Kasparov helicopter video?
No, but also, yeah, what was the comment earlier? Someone wanted me to check. There is some website they made about the panda. I'm curious about the Veritasium video. Yeah, at World Cup, I mean, actually, we could reference this position. So this is kind of the cool thing about ChessBase, that Lichess doesn't have so many search functions, but Lichess is like much more user friendly. With this, we can see like all the games in database, and there's a game with 97. Yeah, I know Shimanov likes this line. Oh, it's Anna Muzichuk against Tan Zhangyi. And 97 is like a interesting idea. But at World Cup, I mean, we can see this game. Oh, thank you, Gabrielle Borden. Wait, what? What is this? Oh, black took on c4. Sorry, Adfos. That's that's not the Albin that you know and love. But that's sometimes what you get at Olympia. Like, yeah, players like on the lower boards. There's players not playing like mainline openings. Is this playable though? Actually, what's the valuation? It's like the King's Gambit Abbasia variation. But black loses casting rights here. Oh, knight e7 is a top engine move. DC4 is still playable, maybe. Um, I'm trying to think of like other cool openings that maybe occurred. I mean, you could check the number of Londons. What was the weirdest first move? E3 and D3. There were 9 birds. Hey, there was 1 double bird. Double bird. Oh, fried liver attracts her. Okay, yeah, we can check. I'd imagine there's at least 1 of each, but let's see. Knight C6. Okay. No Traxler. No one has the courage. Fried liver? D5. I mean, everyone plays knight A5. Yeah, so not like a true fried liver. Yeah, what I did is I merged all the games into a single database. So these are all 1,840 games in the open. I couldn't download the women's games for some reason, like the PGN. The zip file I got from the website seemed to be empty. What about Evans Gambit? What about Nackmanson Gambit? If there was Nackmanson Gambit, then Jonathan Schrantz would have already made a video on it by now. But we can still check. There's different move orders for Nackmanson. 8 Scotch Gambits. Okay, so 1 game with castling. Nackmanson? No. Actually, I played this as black against Faruja last night. And Faruja just crushed me out of this opening. I thought I was prepared, but he was more prepared. Let's check Evans. I'm just trying to like go through and like, try and acknowledge people's favorite openings. Bishop c5, b4. Hey, 1 game with b4 and white won. Oh, from Fancy Stewart. Fancy Stewart playing a fancy opening. Papua New Guinea against Comoros. I'm not sure which country Fancy Stewart's from. Evans Gambit declined. So this actually kind of went into an Italian. Oh, and black, this is a classic mistake of, like, it looks like it's a fair trade. I remember when I was younger, I thought, oh, this looks good for black because you expose the opponent's king. But yeah, especially in like early middle game, minor pieces are just, especially 2 minor pieces are much more valuable than rook and pawn. So let's see how Fancy Stewart converted. It'd be cool to like filter through the games and see which player has earned the most Rosen trophies. Maybe that could be a project for Trevlar. I think you would have to write a for loop. I++. This actually wasn't so easy to convert. Like the more pawns I get traded, then the rook kind of flourishes in an open position. But yeah, 2 bishops. are too strong. Oh, black made the same mistake I made earlier, running into like an open kind of bishop fork. But black, I think, was losing anyway, right? Yeah, d7's coming. Wait, what's a duck gambit? Is that when you try and feed a duck and then get chased by a goose? Um, there's a double duck. The double duck is a double bird that transforms into the double duck. It's one of the funnier opening names. Oh, thank you, Dirty Halvard, for the congrats. Yeah, it takes a lot of like mental fortitude to control my heart rate. I don't think there were any sodium attacks. Can check though. No, I checked the first moves. There's no knight a3. There are a few knight c3s. Is there any way to see quick wins? There is actually. If we reconfigure. Sorry if you're watching on mobile, this all might be kind of small, but we can sort by moves. And there's some games where like the board broke and they didn't have moves. So looks like the shortest full game was 12 moves. Can open this. Okay, 12 move game. Yeah, these games are some of these games might not be the most pleasant to look at. 13 move game. Yeah, black spending too much time moving rook pawns. Oof. Let's find a game that ends with mate. This ends with mate in 13 moves. Oh. Ouch. Knight b6 checkmate. Anyway, I should wrap things up. Today is going to be a double streaming day, and it's time for me to eat. So thanks everyone for watching. Let me find someone. Oh, I lost all my windows. Hey, I found them. Find someone to send some love to. Oh, I know who to raid. There's a Twitch channel I discovered yesterday. It's Farouja's brother. It's MRF Chess. So maybe Mr. F Chess? Yeah, Mr. Farouja. Yeah, he sent a raid yesterday, like right after his brother adopted me. So anyway, send some good energy, and I'll be back soon. Did Pia Cramling win in 10 moves? I think she did, yeah. But I wasn't able to download the women's section. So hopefully later I can explore some more games. Okay, bye everyone. See you guys in about 3.5 hours.